Welcome to the Mountain Magnolia Show, where your host, Mary Noble Braden, will introduce you to Swannanoa Valley's most interesting and most iconic individuals.
Let's give 'em something to talk about.
Well, hello to all you wonderful listeners out there, and welcome back to the Mountain Magnolia Show. As you know, we are here to reveal the heart and soul of our community, one story at a time. I'm your host, Mary Noble Braden, and today's conversation is one that feels especially close to me. Today, we're sitting down with Anna Stearns, attorney, advocate, and candidate for Buncombe County Commission, and someone whose story is deeply rooted right here in our community. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, no, I'm so glad you're here. And guys, this is going to be a great story. I've been able to sit with Anna a couple of times, and I've really been moved by conversations with you and just how you've showed up for so many people, and how you have really put the work in and learned to advocate for community leaders.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Well, I want to say before we begin, you guys know I always share a quote, and this one feels especially fitting for today's conversation. It says, "Community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter." And that is from Brian Solis. And that's what today is about, not just where we live, but how we show up for one another. I want to say, in a world that can sometimes feel disconnected, community is the quiet force that reminds us we're not alone. It's the neighbor who shows up, the stranger who becomes a friend, and the small acts that create something lasting. And today we're exploring what that truly looks like right here in Buncombe County. So welcome, Anna. I'm so glad you're here. And I want to start simple. What does it mean to you by sitting here today, stepping into leadership in the same community you were raised in?
Oh, gosh. Well, thank you so much again. And I love the theme of this show. I feel like so much of life's work as an adult has been about how to give back to the community. And particularly in the aftermath of Helene, that was such an important part of my life that most other things kind of got shoved aside for a little while even. And so I am thrilled to maybe have the opportunity to step in to a leadership role in county government at a time when we really have some, tough choices ahead of us. And storm recovery is going to drag on for a number of years more. We've got some emergency preparedness needs for wildfire planning as well. We're in the middle of a drought right now, and so there's a lot of that needs to be
one extreme to the next.
Unfortunately. And as we continue to see cuts at the federal and state levels to the government services that are provided, a lot of those things that affect our quality of life are going to push down to the county level. And so, it's really going to be up to us to protect our forests and our wetlands and make sure that we have good schools and libraries for our kids to be in, and that we help people age in place with dignity. And I think I see a real desire in the community at large for us to all be helping each other with those things, right? It's a much more communal feel than I remember it being even 10 or 20 years ago, And
I don't think we knew any different.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, it was, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is how it looks like, and why would anybody help us?
Well, and I really hope that that's kind of signaling the downfall of this hustle culture, that everybody has to be going full tilt all the time. And if you're not being productive in an economic way, then you're not using your time wisely. And I just think that's not true. I want to spend my time checking on an older client who I know doesn't have any family locally. And that's not productive time. That's not billing time, but it is something that fills my cup, that makes me feel like I'm contributing something and supporting someone and helping her to feel seen. And so I hope that that's the path that we're headed down, is more of that.
And that is phenomenal for you to be an attorney. And sorry, I didn't go into exactly where she works, right here in Black Mountain at Sneed and Stearns. So just up the road, and for you to be an attorney with a really big agenda, it is important for your clients and also for yourself to be able to have a little bit of that type of relationship where it's not always work.
It's not always work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to have heart-centered things so it doesn't feel like we're always having to be in that push environment, because it tells our nervous system that we're always pushing and we're never relaxing.
Well, that's right. And there's so much conversation right now about epidemics of loneliness, with older adults, with young men, with people who are kind of chronically online and don't engage in face-to-face interactions, and then begin to feel very, very alone. And I just think that the fix for that is us being together with one another.
Yeah.
And so my role in that is, I see it as to help some of my older clients when I can see that they're experiencing some loneliness or some isolation, and helping them reconnect with services or other people, or just me. I mean, I love to sit around and listen to a story over a cup of tea. I mean,
You're good at it too, y'all. You understand human perception, and you've talked to me plenty of times, and I've really always loved hearing your perception and your, which way you would go. And so we have some wisdom, we've been on this planet for a while, and now it's nice to be able to have experience.
Yes, absolutely. And to share that. And I want to know that from my older friends too.
Yeah.
I want to know, what my older clients have to share. They've seen some pretty amazing things.
And they have lots of wisdom. Well, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Like I told you, audience, Anna, she is a partner over at Sneed and Stearns, correct?
Yes.
And she's also running for county commissioner. And when is that going to be? When is the election going to take place?
Yeah, so the election is in November, when it's same time as elections for Congress and Senate and all of our other local races. And so early voting will open sometime in October. The district is a little bit funky. Buncombe County has 3 county commission districts, and we're one of the only counties in the state where those are tied to our state legislative maps.
Okay.
And so if you've heard some news stories about maps being overturned and redrawn, every time that happens at the state level, it affects our county commission districts here as well. So a lot of your listeners might remember voting for Al Whitesides a couple of years ago as the county commissioner for District 1. But when the maps were redrawn, he was drawn out of that district. Okay. So he is now in a downtown district. And I am running for the seat that was previously held by Martin Moore, who was not in this district when he got elected, because, again, the maps have been redrawn. And so the district it kind of swoops down around the lower half of Buncombe County, starting with Montreat. Okay. So Montreat, Black Mountain, a little piece of Swannanoa, Broad River, Fairview, down into South Asheville, and then scoops even a little piece of Candler in with it. And so I always laugh when people tell me they live in Swannanoa and ask if they can vote for me. And I have to say, I got to have your actual address.
You're like,
I don't know. So, but a good rule of thumb is if you're in Eric Agers' state legislative district for the House of Representatives, then you can vote for me in the upcoming election.
Eric and Anna in the same district?
That's right.
That's going to be 2 wonderful people all together.
Yes.
That's great. Well, okay, I want to talk about your campaign, but I want to also really talk about your story here. You are from here, right?
I am. My family moved to Black Mountain when I was in the 4th grade. We had lived in Buncombe County my whole life, but we moved around a lot when I was a kid. But from 4th grade on, I was an Owen district kid. I graduated from Owen High School. And during my senior year of high school, I was fortunate enough to have a guidance counselor connect me with an internship at Ron Sneed's law office. He was a solo practitioner. And so I started out, answering phones and setting up files. And I had my kids young. I had Dylan while I was still in high school, and had Daniel when I was 19. And so I had been still working for Ron and going to college in part-time. And when Daniel was born, I took a step back and started working for Ron full-time. And I was with him altogether 15 years. And he, just supported me in ways you cannot imagine to get me through my undergrad, and make sure that I stayed in school and was successful in that. And so then after I graduated from UNC Asheville, I had to leave for a little while to go to law school, which felt very scary.
Just a little while.
Felt very scary. So law school is 3 years, but I stayed another couple of years. My son was in high school then, and I wanted him to be able to finish school in the same high school where he was. And so I was away for 7 years. And
It felt longer than
I know.
It really did.
And I could not wait to get back to my mountains, truly. But while I was there, I worked with Brian Turner in the State House as his legislative assistant. And so I got some exposure to how that legislative process works and what kind of constituent services your elected representatives should give you. Representative Turner is very, very good at constituent services and making sure that people who are having a hard time navigating government get what they need. And so I was really glad to have that exposure. And then I worked with Chief Justice Sherry Beasley. For
you packed it in, girl.
I did. So I was Chief Justice Beasley's general counsel and chief of staff. And in that role, I was responsible for a lot of policy work in the court system, which I think a lot of people don't really think about there being policy work in the court system. But, designing a form or deciding how long it should take for a case to get on the calendar, or how we collect or waive fees for people who can't afford it. Those are all policy choices that happen inside the court system. One of the things I was really proud of, the legislature made some changes to the laws regarding expunctions while I was working with the Chief Justice. And it meant that there was this whole new tranche of people who were eligible to have an old crime expunged from their record.
Oh, wow.
And these were people who had been convicted as children of crimes that today we would charge them as children. But then they got charged as adults. So they have an adult criminal conviction on their record, even though the crime was committed when they were children. Aww. So, think 12 and 13-year-olds who got in trouble for loitering or, throwing a chair in a classroom in an outburst. That's a really common one. So this law said that all these people were now eligible to have those things expunged, but you had to know you were eligible. You had to know how to go to court. You had to know how to get the form. You had to show up in court and argue it to the judge and tell them that you were eligible. You had to get the DA to agree with you.
Wow.
And we figured out a way to work with some partners in the technology space to basically scrub all of the court data statewide, identify the people who are eligible for those expunctions, and process them automatically with the DAs without those people having to come file petitions in court to do it. And so I think all in all, there were close to 200,000 people who had their records expunged because of that. Many of them probably don't even know.
Good job.
But the goal is that now those folks can go get jobs that they might have been not able to get because of a 20-year-old conviction for some stupid thing they did when they were 15.
Well, I hope y'all are listening to this, because here we are. We have Anna in the town of Black Mountain with all this experience just up the street.
Yeah.
She is being the underdog for the people that need her attention. And so thanks for going and leaving for a while and learning how to be a better representative of your little town, your little county here in Western North Carolina, because it takes experience and it takes time to learn how to do all these things.
Yeah. And governing is hard.
Oh, I would not want to do it.
It's hard. And nobody is going to get it right all the time. And we may not even agree on every policy choice that comes up, but I think what you want are people who have discernment and compassion and a willingness to listen and learn, some curiosity. And I hope that I'm able to bring all those things to the table. And along the way, my lived experience of being a young single mom who needed food stamps and Medicaid and daycare vouchers and services to help me make my life and my children's lives better. I hope that that experience can help inform some of those decisions as I go and help me to educate other people about why those things are so important.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to be right in it and experienced and gone from, somebody who was an early mom in high school to working at a law firm to really like being in the middle of helping these folks. And how did it feel? How did it feel to go from one extreme to the next?
It was really kind of challenging to especially to transition to Raleigh. I grew up in trailer parks around here in Buncombe County. And now I'm in rooms with politicians at fundraisers and with donors and people in rooms where I just felt very out of place. And I think I learned I'm adaptable. Childhood trauma will do that to you.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I learned how to play that role and put on the suit and the heels and get the right makeup in the bag and carry myself well. And I was pretty good at that. And then I got back home and was back in my community, in my place, with this like new facade that didn't feel like it fit here at all, but neither did my earlier self, right? And so I think for the first couple of years that I was back, I was really struggling here to figure out who my people are and where I fit. And a lot of my friends have moved away and from high school, and so I'm trying to find my tribe. And then honestly, it is one of the most beautiful silver linings of that awful storm is that I reconnected with so many people and made new friendships with people who were as passionate about serving our community and helping our neighbors as I was. And that has been just beautiful. I mean, it's enriched my life.
Yeah.
And along the way showed me that I can just kind of be me. I don't have
Isn't that what we're searching for?
I don't have to put on
that human perception.
Yeah.
You've got it good, girl.
Yeah,
you got it good.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think I have seen so many folks that I have interviewed, and it was almost like, remember Helene? Remember when we were all like just one? There was no pushback, or it was all like, hey, let's do this together.
Absolutely.
And so I think it showed our community who does show up. I'm acting like the community is a person, but it is a thing that it showed us that we all show up for each other, and it can be really easy.
And everybody has a role to play in doing that, right? I think one of the things that was so impressive was how people found their niche as they were doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to drive an ATV up into Beatrice and deliver goods and supplies. And I'm not a particularly good cook. And so feeding the community wasn't also where my strong suit was, but I could help. I did know how to navigate complicated government processes. And so I helped people apply for FEMA. I helped them appeal their FEMA decisions.
And your office became a hub.
And we became a hub.
Yeah.
We helped everybody that walked in the door. We had volunteer lawyers from around the state who came and volunteered with us at the office for a couple of clinics. And, all in all, we helped somewhere around 120, 150 people, I think. Wow. And fortunately, trickled some money out of the hands of FEMA back into our community that maybe wouldn't have been here if we hadn't been able to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Good job.
God, those things were very difficult to navigate.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. It's not for the lighthearted.
No.
Well, all right. So you grew up in Buncombe County, and now you raised your kids and moved to Raleigh. And the funny thing is that I think I met you probably in 2015, and I remember being like, oh my God, I can't believe she's leaving. What am I going to do? And
this is right before I left. Yeah.
Let's see, I had probably been a realtor for, about 10 years, but I could walk in y'all's office, and not many people would probably, but I would walk in and I could really sit down with you or Ron. And so it's what I call you guys the handheld attorneys. There's not many left.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to go to their office and do that because it's not set up like that anymore. You can't get to them unless you're able to climb up the stairs, like through, just kidding.
Well, it's, the truth is our lives on the whole have become increasingly complex.
Yeah.
And people have a lot more legal needs today than they did 10 years ago. It used to be that for estate administrations, if someone in your life died, that you could go to the courthouse and pretty easily access the forms that you needed and get things filed. Today, that process requires copies of signature cards and contracts and complicated inventories, and your loved one probably didn't just have one bank account. People have a pension or a 401k or a retirement, or it just has become so complicated that we have to spend a lot of time serving those folks when they walk in the door. And so it's not quite as easy to be, but I have thought about this. You tell me, I'm gonna launch the idea right here on your podcast about having some kind of informal office hours on the porch at the law office a couple of days a week, just in the rocking chairs where folks can just come by and chat and maybe get a question or two answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it could just be more a porch party. Like it's a Thursday afternoon porch party. And I might just come sit down with you.
I think it's a great idea. I think we should be hanging out on the porch in the sunshine all
Especially
summer long.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very non-formal. Even if somebody needs to ask something very simple,
Oh, yeah.
where it's not in an email or on a recorded line. It's just getting
Some education.
connection, yeah.
And a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of misconceptions about the law. There are a lot of things that people, I think, would ask about how estates work or how deeds work or how a contract for a lease should look, that I feel like we could just have some conversations.
Yeah.
And dispel some myths.
I like that. No, I like that a lot.
We'll see.
Well, Black Mountain, so lucky to have you and Ron, and really my dad was an attorney, and so that's where I get that information. He's like, there's not that many more handheld attorneys.
It's true.
And so thank y'all for showing up for these folks. And I want to dive into your campaign a little bit more now and tell people the reason you're running and what you hope to support our community and our county with. So can we talk a little bit about those things?
Yeah, of course. So I guess first I would just say, in my experience the last few months running as a county commission candidate, the first thing most people ask me is just like, what does the county commission do?
That would be good.
The county commission is responsible for setting the county property tax rate and budgeting and spending a lot of money. And so the county's biggest chunk of money gets spent on public schools, including AB Tech. So a big chunk of AB Tech's budget comes from the county. And then while our sheriff is a constitutionally elected office, his budget depends on the county commission. And so running the jail, all of his deputies, all of the health services that they provide through folks who are incarcerated in the jail, those are all county commission budgeting roles. DSS and Adult Protective Services are administered by the county in Buncombe County. And so our library system and county parks are all run by the county commission. And so you can kind of think of it as the board of directors for the county.
Yeah, there's some important things in there.
Yes. And so what I saw after Hurricane Helene was this really disjointed effort at recovery, specifically in Swannanoa. Because Swannanoa doesn't have its own local government, doesn't have a mayor, doesn't have a town council, doesn't have a town manager. And so it is dependent, folks in Swannanoa depend on the county to apply for any grant that they need for the recovery process. So when you think about the buildings that were destroyed along Highway 70, between 70 and Old 70 along the river, if we wanted to take those down and make a park there are federal grants available that would pay for that to be a Riverwalk park.
Wonderful idea. Wonderful.
Beautiful. But the county has to have capacity to write the grant, to manage the grant, to get the estimates, the environmental studies. And so what I have seen is that with existing county staff who are working tremendously hard, they are pulled in so many directions. And your planning staff is trying to help people get back in their homes, right? They're trying to make sure that we get our parks, that our existing parks are safe and open to the public again.
Yeah.
And so when you throw in some of these big federal grants that are very complicated to write, Swannanoa just has felt a little left in the dust. And so I have worked with some of my contacts in Raleigh that I know from this time I happen to have in state government to try to identify some of those gaps and how to navigate it. And I think that a lot of that work gets done at the county commission level. And so when Commissioner Moore decided he was going to run for district attorney and his seat was going to be open, it just kind of felt like stars were aligning.
I mean, it's the same thing. It sounds like, you didn't realize you were going to be a hub for Helene. And then there was all this, it's called promo, right? Work where you were helping folks try to get what they could get from FEMA. And then this opportunity came up. So I think your authenticity is coming out. Like you're just, this is it.
I think so. And, I have always thought out ways to be of service, right? So whether that was running the schedule for the youth baseball league or volunteering at the kids' school or mentoring young moms at Owen, like that, I have always found some small but meaningful ways to be involved in the community. And now it feels like I have the opportunity to do that on a bigger scale that can affect the lives of lots of people.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that.
Those all are big deals. I mean, I did not realize that. So thank you for telling us what, the county commissioner would influence.
Yes. And so the big thing coming up is the county property tax rate. Folks probably just got their tax reappraisal notices.
Yeah.
Lots of us had our tax rates go up, our tax values, go up very significantly. The way that process works is that the county has to publish what the revenue neutral rate would be. Okay. So assume that I think last year the tax rate was 53 cents roughly per hundred. So if the tax base goes up by, $100 million, then we can drop that tax rate and still have the same amount of money come in, right?
Okay.
So we got to know what the revenue neutral rate is. And so your taxes aren't necessarily going to be the same rate on this new value. I think everybody's really afraid that their tax bill is going to double because the tax value doubled. And that's not the case.
I've heard that.
But we've got some tough decisions at the county level. They've got new positions they need to hire because federal grant funding is ending for some things. The cuts to the SNAP program from the One Big Beautiful Bill last year are going to result in the need for some additional staff at our DSS offices. Our sheriff needs a whole bunch of new cars. His cars are aging out for his deputies. We want them to be safe when they're on the job. The jail health contract is going to cost, I think it was $115 million more. Wow. $113,000 more. I added a couple of digits there, I think. But all of those things are increases. And so I do think we'll see the tax rate come up just a little bit. And folks should be paying attention to that. Yeah. You can watch Buncombe County's commission meetings on YouTube. They're on YouTube. You can go speak in citizen comment about those. They're going to have some budget hearings coming up. And I think we have an excellent county commission. They're all tremendous public servants who truly do want to hear from the public about what things you think are important. right?
Yeah.
This is your tax dollars that's being spent. And so what should we prioritize? Where should we decide to put something off for a year or two?
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, thank you for explaining the whole thing because I would have not quite understood. And
Oh,
now
it's
it
also
makes
complicated.
it makes sense. And so a couple questions, I think right now in our community, I wanted to ask, what do you think's missing right now when it comes to trust between people and leadership? Because that feels what's missing.
It really does, doesn't it?
Hmm.
I think there's something really valuable about being able to disagree with one another and still respect each other.
Yeah.
And I think the formality of a public comment section in a town meeting or a county meeting is not a good way to have dialogue.
And we used to never have them.
I know. And neither is Facebook.
Hmm.
It is not a good way to have meaningful dialogue. And I really think it's part of that, it's part of the front porch sit, right? That's why
Yeah,
that comes to
totally.
mind
Yeah.
is that we should be having conversations with each other. Tell me why you think this is important. Tell me why you think this decision was poorly made. Let's talk through what you would have rather seen happen and why. And I might not agree with you, but at least we could have some dialogue about it. I think that is what is missing in the fundamental trust between people and their representatives, is that
Yes.
it feels like they are inaccessible, making decisions without public deliberation, not engaging with the public in the way that people expect it to happen. And part of that is a disconnect in what they expect, right?
Yeah.
Like I will be the first to tell you, I don't love social media. I don't love it. I very rarely jump into the comment section on a Facebook or an Instagram post. I'm trying my hand at some TikTok videos. You go follow me on TikTok.
There we
out
go.
because that feels like a way. TikTok is a platform where I can straight to camera explain something like property tax rates, right?
Yeah.
And I can engage and answer questions if people have them. But Facebook it's a bunch of one-liners and it feels safe behind your computer keyboard, and we're not kind to each other there often. And so I just think that the more that we are engaging that way, the more damage we do to that public trust.
And that's what used to happen. We used to spend time together. There used to be parties in politics.
Yeah.
And people would have time to really talk these things out. And now it's just like, this is the way, or it's this way or this way, and then there's all these people sitting behind each other. And I don't get involved because it's not something that moves me,
Mhm.
but it is frustrating. What does move me is to be able to help people collaborate and become of service, or also together,
Yes.
And so, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Well, all right. So the front porch thing sounded
I mean, I
better
think
and
we
better
gotta do
each
it, right? I
time.
think we gotta figure that out.
Okay, so one other question before we close. If we were sitting here 10 years from now, what would you hope Buncombe County feels like for the people living here? Not just how it looks, but how it feels.
Oh, what a beautiful question. I am really excited. It feels like 10 years when you ask that. It feels like it's far away. But
I
it's
know.
really not. It's really not.
Oh,
There are some really exciting outdoor recreation things in the works right now. The old Beacon Mill site
Yeah.
is going to become an outdoor bike park with an amphitheater and some open green space that will host, markets and concerts and
So
gatherings. And there are plans, I think, for some greenway expansion along the Swannanoa River. There's a group called Friends and Neighbors of Swannanoa that has received a grant to do a feasibility study for a greenway from the town of Black Mountain boundary all the way to Warren Wilson College.
wow.
So that there would be the ability to walk the river for that whole stretch. And there are plans also to connect greenways from Buncombe County to the Fonta Flora State Trail, which is coming up from Morganton. And
That's huge.
so I think it's possible that we end up with some outdoor recreation spaces that truly are connected community to community and gathering places for people that improve public health and our environment all at the same time. And that is the essence of what I want to see in Buncombe County. I want a community where people can lean on their neighbors when they need to, but more often than not, don't need to.
Yeah.
That people feel supported and like they can live in the community where they work and still buy groceries at the end of the day, that their kids have good schools to go to and parks to play in. And so I think more than anything, I want us to be a community that feels a sense of togetherness, because when we're supporting each other in that way, then the burdens don't feel so heavy, right?
Yeah. And I think we're all learning some of the things that we've talked about is to be present with each other, to be, not just be one-sided, to spend time with each other. Everything's so fast. And so we're getting some good little nuggets here of what the future holds. And I support you 100%.
Gosh, thank you so much.
We're not on any type of paid ad, but I support this woman because you are the heart and soul of our community. You have what it takes to serve the community and also yourself. And I think that's one of the things that we've been taught in the past is we just have to go and be a service, and learning to also, and I've talked about this plenty of times, where we have to be an advocate for ourselves and also for the people around us so we can be strong enough to hold up the people.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. Absolutely.
So, well, I want to let people know how to go and learn more about you and get involved in your campaign. And I know there's a website where you share it.
It is annaforbuncombe.com, and you can sign up for emails there. Although I have to confess, I don't send probably as many as some of my campaign folks wish that I would. So I promise not to flood your inbox with those. You can donate to the campaign there, and you can sign up. We'll be doing some canvassing in the fall,
Nice.
knocking on doors and making sure our neighbors know that the election is happening. And so sign up there, annaforbuncombe.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me there too.
And we'll let you know when the porch party is going to be.
That's
pretty
right.
soon.
That's
So
right.
that's good. Okay. So thank you for that. And I want to say, as we come to the close for our beautiful time together, thank you so much. I always like to leave space for what really matters in the heart of it all. And Anna, here on Mountain Magnolia Show, we talk a lot about community, not just as a place, but as a feeling and a connection and a way of showing up for one another. So thank you so much. And I'd like to ask you as the closing question, what does community mean to you?
I think that community really at its root is about togetherness and kindness and support. And so whether that it's like a big family, right? Sometimes Thanksgiving dinner is going to get messy, and we have to still be able to come together and support each other because we're in this together. And I think Hurricane Helene showed us that more than anything ever has, that we have to be able and willing to rely on each other, and that when our neighbors need us, we all have a role to show up and play to help, because when we are all together, we're all doing better. And so I just think at the root of it, it is about getting out of our isolation zones. COVID put us all back in our houses, and we got to get back out into community now. I'll also give a plug for Bounty and Soul. I'm on the board there. I'm really proud of the work that Bounty and Soul does to make sure that our neighbors have food that is beautiful and healthy and nourishing. I have relied on food banks in my previous life, and they were not always beautiful and nourishing food. And one of Bounty and Soul's part of their manifesto and mission is that food is medicine, that we choose love, that we greet each other by name, that we know our farmers and our farmers know us, that it's such a beautiful encapsulation of the idea of community, that we come together and feed one another.
Wow.
With grace and dignity and kindness. And so Bounty and Soul is always looking for volunteers too. And so you can check out their website and sign up. And being at one of the food markets or packing in the warehouse is a great way to meet some neighbors, to be together and feel like you are doing some real good in the community. So
I love that. We just interviewed Jacqueline. She would have been crying again. Oh, that was beautiful.
Nourishing food is so important.
It is.
It's so important.
Yes, it's so important for us all to come together and thank you. Thank you for this time and just telling your story, which is beautiful, and becoming who you really are here in this little town. Doesn't it feel good?
This has been so much fun, Mary Noble. I want to come talk to you on the podcast all the time.
I
I just
know.
want to sit around and chit chat with you.
Well, we do
but
that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here and for such thoughtful questions. And
Yeah. Well, Anna Stearns for County Commissioner, y'all. Anna Stearns. And so stay tuned for the porch party where you can come and get free advice, maybe some
talk a little politics.
Yes, and even some hugs.
That's right. That's right.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys listening here on the Mountain Magnolia Show. And as you know, this is where we reveal the heart and soul of our community, and what a beautiful one we have. And Anna, until next time, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for Mountain Magnolias with your hosts, Mary Noble Braden and Leanne Lewis. Join us next time for more interesting stories from the Swannanoa's most interesting people as we give you something to talk about.
Let's give 'em something to talk
Mountain Magnolias is a production of Noble and Company Realty in Black Mountain. For more information, please call them at 828-357-5243. 828-357-5243.